Okay, John.
Right, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so the story of the okapi begins deep in the tropical swamps of the Ituri forest in what's now the Democratic Republic of Congo, where the few remaining wild populations of the mysterious okapi live. So today, the life history and daily habits of the animal are very little understood. The story of the okapi from a European perspective begins at the turn of the 19th century. In the first decade of that century, the okapi occupied an almost unicorn-like place in the popular imagination. Whilst native Africans had probably been tracking and hunting okapi for thousands of years, it was not until 1890 that an American explorer and writer by the name of Henry Morton Stanley sent the first reports about the animal to the Western world. And these early accounts suggested the okapi was some kind of African donkey that fed on leaves. But its long tongue, which is long enough to lick its own eyes, and its hind flanks striped like those of a zebra, and hearing so finely honed that it could sense and elude approaching hunters, with extraordinary skill, the okapi epitomised the Congo's biological wonders. In 1901, explorer and colonial administrator Sir Harry Johnston, the High Commissioner of Uganda, took on the search for okapi in the hope of adding a new member to the roster of mammals, perhaps the highest accomplishment for any naturalist. Johnson was able to get a few pieces of okapi striped hide from natives, and he sent the skins here to London to the British Museum, where the scientists therein prematurely announced the discovery of a new species of zebra. They were wrong. In search of a complete specimen, Johnson organised an expedition into the Ituri forest, assisted by a company of pygmies who also live in the Congo. When he eventually succeeded in seeing the animal in the wild and obtaining a complete skeleton and skin, Johnson's dream of credit was discovered. The discovery was realised, and that's immortalised in its Latin name, which is Okapia johnstoni. Bonus audience. So the facts. You can guess what the closest living relative is to the okapi.
Giraffe.
Yes.
Yeah, it came up in my research.
Exactly.
Very nice.
It's not a coincidence that the two clicky people have chosen the same,
You've been colluding.
same genus. Back in the day, in the Pliocene period, there were many branches of the giraffe family, but now only two survive: the giraffe and the okapi. And they specialise in browsing high vegetation. They're solitary and occasionally live in temporary small groups. They have a diet of leaves, grass and fruit, but occasionally they eat a red sulphurous clay to add minerals to their diet. Their main predator is the leopard. They're characterised by the distinctive stripes on their legs and the sort of black and white garters from the knee joint down, which makes them excellent in terms of camouflage, and most well known for their tongue, which measures up to 18 inches long, and one of the only animals that can lick their own ears. I invite you to try that. So they grow to about 7 foot, and a shoulder height of 5.5 foot. They weigh about 550 pounds max, and they have a gestation period of about 14 to 15 months, and all the young are born between August and October and nurse from different mothers. And they give birth to a solitary young, so there's a baby one, which must have been born between August and October. Yes.
Born in May.
Born in May. Well, that's screwed that up, hasn't it? They also fight each other in the same manner as giraffes, with neck butting, with their little horns, which I've not seen in flesh, but it sounds pretty horrendous. And today, about 5,000 of 30,000 of Maine are still in the Congo, the Okapi Wildlife Reserve, and they've been protected by government decree since 1933. I thought it'd be interesting, given they're a very unusual animal, which a lot of people don't really understand its origin, to see what the internets at large think about the okapi. So these are some of the comments from YouTube videos about the okapi. So Panagiotis Philinita says, "Oh my gosh, what an adorable animal. Ita has also so beautiful ear, which are balanced with his head. Oh my god, I can't stand. I want to see face to face one of it. It's my fave animal." Which conveys some of the excitement you get when you see a okapi. Noxy Nobody says, "Sometimes when I see girls with zebra leggings and dark top, I always think of okapis." Strange man. X Lily XS says, "Go home zebra, you are drunk." Fusion840 says, I wonder what else the Congo has. Maybe dinosaurs, which is a valid question. 307 Guilty Spark says they're crazy nights at Noah Ark. And Felix Pheasant chips in with giraffe, zebra and a horse had some raunchy sex. This was the result. Fierce diplomatically says yes, but humans didn't have anything to do with it.
Oh,
So,
it's poignant.
yeah, bringing it back to the facts. That's me.
Awesome.
People think it's called a giraffe because in an old African language they think it means, or they've tried to work out that it's fast walker, and they're just plotting on at the moment. But although their strides are so big, that keeping up with them will be pretty difficult, and they can hit 35 miles an hour in a run, which is fast. So a question I have for you, or do you think giraffes make good pets, or do you think they are too high maintenance? It's the tallest animal in the world, and we are in Africa at the moment, and that's where they come from. They can get to 6 metres, say, and they can live to 25, and sometimes hit nearly 2 tons, 2,000 kilos, which is a lot, very heavy. And there's a lot of talk about how they got long necks, and people think it's evolution where they stretch, try and reach the higher branches all the time, and then over time they become taller and taller. But that's not really true, because they haven't found any older giraffes or fossils or anything to suggest that they came from shorter necks. Also, how would it be true? Because there would be no females around, because they're shorter than the males, and the males would just eat all the good food, and all the other animals would be dead because they are on the floor as well. So they can just bend down and eat off the floor. Females actually spend about 50% of their time eating sort of body parts, so they cover their neck there, and they use that sort of fact to distinguish if it's male or female from a long distance away. The other thing that's a bit strange about giraffes is you're not going to see one drink, but if they drink, their necks actually aren't long enough, because they have to split their legs apart and then bend down. So that puts them in a vulnerable position as well, from crocs around the watering hole and things. And if you didn't know, you would think that they get a rush of blood to the head and then pass out, but they don't, because they've got special valves in their neck which stop that from happening. So no one really knows why they have a long neck. There's some different theories about it. Another question for you is what's the difference between a tractor and a giraffe? One has hydraulics, the other one has The spots in each giraffe is unique to a giraffe, such as a fingerprint, and there are roughly 6 sort of main areas where the giraffes come from. The ones that come in the same sort of area as another one, their spots look similar. And actually I noticed earlier that the one we're watching feed looks slightly different to the other ones. They've got darker spots, although darker spots means age as well. But there's different types, so some of the spots will be closer together with a thinner sort of line of colour, some of them are thicker, some of them more rounded or jaggedy, and yeah, you can tell sort of which main areas they're from. You also saw earlier that they got some tongue, which might be for stopping sunburn, and also them branches look horrible. They're really hard tongue, so they just rip everything off the branches and they don't cut them. They can also close their nostrils, and the long eyelash, as got mentioned earlier as well. That's sandstorms and ants getting all in their face in the trees. And the other last round theory as to why they have long necks is it is a sexual selection process. So apparently it is more desirable to have a long neck for the females, which leads into neck wrestling or necking. Which is, I don't know if anyone's seen it, but it's actually really horrible to watch. They whip their neck really hard. It's literally like watching arms tangle up and hit against themselves. Horrible. And they got their horns on top of their head, which are just old casters and bones, not used anymore, and it can be fatal. So it's probably very rare. Much like humans, males like younger female adults, but hopefully not like humans. Males decide if the female is sexually fertile by tasting the female's urine. Which is very nice. It takes about 400 days for a calf to be born, and then when they're born they literally drop about 5 feet, which then leads to the next step, which is about a quarter to half of calves actually make it to adult. So lions and crocs, you said earlier, take them down. And when they sleep, they don't sleep for very long because it puts them in the wrong position, and they can actually sleep with their head rolled around leaning on their butt. About 10 minutes out of the time a day they do. They're in fairly easygoing groups, and they'll just wander around. They don't really have friends. There's groups of change all the time. They just go over here, go over there, get some leaves. And I'll finish up with the last story about telling you about the giraffe race. I finished next month.
Horses are very primitive primates. They think that they branched off from the primates about 50 million years ago, so they're very distant ancestors. I know about the slow horse, not people who use the horse. They are very slow. They come out at night, obviously. They eat all kinds of little critters, little insects, even up to birds. I don't know how they catch them, but they move really smoothly, and you just can't hear them at all. So it's fast. The coolest thing about them is that they are poisonous.
Nice.
Poisonous.
Yeah, now we're talking.
They have a poison gland in their elbow that they can lick. So they lick the poison gland, and then the gland mixes with their saliva and makes this poison, it kind of combines. And they can take that, and then they lick their babies with it, so that the babies become poisoned, and then they put the babies on a branch somewhere, and then they go off and forage. But then the babies are safe, because then no one wants to touch them, because they're all it's disgusting.
Okay.
So, yeah, they're only venomous primates.
That's awesome. Interesting.
Problem is that they're really, really cute, so people like to take them as pets, but that's really bad because, a lot of them...
They are poisonous, right?
Yeah.
Well, no, the bad thing is that they remove their teeth if they take them as a pet, so that they can't bite you and inject poison.
Oh, nice.
But that's really bad for the animal, because then they can die.
But it's good for you, right?
If you want one as a pet, but you should not, because it's very bad.
Just get a soft toy, alright?
And also they have extra vertebrae, so that they can move kind of like a snake, and they can twist around and stuff. I'm not sure why. And they have really, they have lasers on their eyes, so that they can reflect more light and then be able to see better in the dark. Nice. Stereo vision, because they have big eyes in front.
Yeah, I can see the big eyes.
Yes. And yeah, they're found in Southeast Asia, and they can live to 25. That's all I've got.
Thank you. You can start. That's the armadillo.
So the large hairy armadillo, which we've now discovered where it is extremely cute, as you can all see. I spotted one last time I was here and was immediately enamoured. They are called large and hairy because compared to other armadillos, they are a bit larger. So these ones go up to about 50 centimetres long. They have 18 segments. So armadillos are typically split into bands, and it sort of ranges from about 3 to 30, I think, the number of bands. These ones have 18, and contrary to popular belief, most armadillos can't roll up into a ball. These ones can't, but the 3-banded armadillo can. Yeah, and these ones have hair, which is makes them a little bit distinctive, makes them a little bit cuter perhaps. Apparently, if you take the shell off, then they look a bit like a rabbit, which is their Mexican name. They're called turtle rabbits. That's where that comes from. But the armadillo itself, which is sort of Spanish derived, that means little armoured one. So they've got this big armoured shell, which obviously makes them extremely hard to predatory. So if they don't cut up into a ball, but they do sort of squat down on the ground and hide under their shell, so birds of prey can't kill them or anything. Humans, however, do. And I'm told they're extremely tasty, but I don't have a recipe for you, unfortunately. So we'll have to have cockroaches instead for dinner. I think armadillo is most famous in this country for being a dime bar advert. As everyone knows, or maybe not all of you know, they're very smooth on the inside and crunchy on the outside, which is the opposite to a dime bar. Still very tasty. And the best thing I found out about them is that the collective noun for armadillos is a fez. So you get a fez of armadillos. There you go.
Really? Okay, so the left-handed hermit crab. So most hermit crabs are right-handed, but this hermit crab is left-handed. And that means that it's...
Hence the name, yeah?
Yeah, it's bigger listening. So it means his left claw is the big one, whereas most hermit crabs have a big right claw. So it means that this crab is destined for a life in which scissors aren't ergonomically designed for him. Pliers just don't feel right. Just handles of things in general just aren't designed for this crab, and it's incredibly frustrating.
But he will be able to drive in Britain, no problems.
But it can drive in Britain, no problems, yeah. But hermit crabs do have some cool social behaviours, which mainly involve shells. The hermit crab has like a soft body and it has to find a shell and crawl into it. But as it grows, it needs a bigger shell. So they do this cool thing where if a crab is going to abandon its shell and get into a bigger one, a smaller crab lines up behind it, and then a smaller crab lines up behind that one, and then smaller and smaller, and they all swap at the same time, and then they upgrade. And they fight with the shells.
It's a chain, it reminds me of chain house selling, yeah?
It's like chain house selling, yeah. And if you're keeping hermit crabs as pets, then it's fine if they're different sizes, but if they're a similar size, then they'll fight over the best shell. Because I guess some just look nicer or something like that, I don't know. And they also swap shells with each other. If one crab's got a shell that's too big and one crab's got a shell that's too small, they have this weird behaviour where they knock on each other's shell, then they come out, they inspect the other one, and if they both agree it's okay, they come out and they swap. So they have loads of cool shell-based behaviours. And also they are very shy, yes, and that's why we can't see one. And that's it.
All around the world, but they different sizes depending on where they are. The most tropical the place, the bigger they are. They can grow up to 5 inches.
Wow.
4 inches, sorry, in length. They eat nearly everything, from wood to metal things to plastic, but they love sugary things. So anything with sugar, they will eat it. I can feel one next one. But some interesting things about cockroaches too. They can be also they can suffer also like Pavlov's dog. You know, you can actually they did a test on cockroaches where they were giving them food. Before giving them food, they spray some peppermint or vanilla scent, and after doing it a repeated number of times, they realized that cockroaches start drooling before when they put the peppermint smell. Yeah.
So they have instincts, it's called instinct, yes.
If you're feeling a little peckish, I also have a souvenir for you all. It's a recipe where you can cook. It's stir fry, Jamaican stir fry with cockroaches. Yeah, no, it's interesting to try it at home. Because cockroaches are full of protein, alright? So,
Oh boy, so it's good after the gym, right?
yeah, rather than using chicken, you can use 4 to 5 cockroaches. An onion, red pepper and green pepper and all that. And most important thing is that you have to remove and discard the solid wings. By removing the solid wings, which are yeah,
Like a crispy accompaniment.
they are crispy and good. They are crispy and good. Yeah, that's all about cockroaches.
Okay, that's just
They're not all pests. Only a very small fraction of cockroaches.
to add one more thing. I mean, if nuclear war comes out, that will be the only thing which will survive.
Yep.
The only?
Yes.
The president of the USA as well.
If you cut the head off a cockroach, it will be alive for 10 days. Yeah. And even it can take 6 weeks without eating them.
And radiation do not kill them. So after the nuclear war, that will be the species which will stay on our
if
planet.
anyone would like to try this and get it with you for pet lunch, try to try it out.
Thank you very much. Yeah, go.
Ready?
Okay,
Yeah.
we're off.
Alright, so let me ask everyone, which animal would you be most afraid to meet in the jungle?
The lion.
Lion?
Yeah.
Steve Irwin.
Michael Lee.
Regular hippo? I'd say the hippo is probably the most scary animal to meet in the jungle because you might think it looks a bit lazy, sleepy. But it's actually probably the most violent animal you get in the jungle. They're actually very protective over the land and over their families, and very short-tempered. So I don't know if you come across it, sister, it might attack you. And they also have huge, massive jaws and very sharp teeth. So humans really no match. A hippo can easily chop a human in half with one bite.
Nice.
That's nice.
What about the pygmy ones?
I'm sure piggies can.
Piggies are more dangerous, probably.
And then if you add the fact that they're possibly the best athletes in the jungle, you've got a dangerous beast. So.
Really?
Well, what I mean by athlete is they probably have the best combination of size and speed. So the big hippos can be up to 7 feet long and weigh up to 3 tons, and the pygmies about 5.5 and 2.5 tons. I mean, they reach speeds of 30 miles per hour. So
30?
yeah, so they can easily outrun a human. So I'll end with some practical advice. If you ever see a hippo in West Africa, climb a tree.
Good stuff.
Nice.
From their bodies, we will talk about it later, and they will regularly lay about between 100 to 200 eggs, and the spiders will hatch within 2 months. Now, interesting facts about them. Tarantula venom, including that of Goliath, is usually not lethal to humans. Usually, Goliath's bite is one with itching long fangs, can cause severe pain, nausea, and profuse sweating. Another serious weapon they have is its ability to release hairs. So they kind of release hair when they are trying to scare somebody.
They don't need VT or something like that.
And those hairs, if they get to the mucus, they can cause really nasty problems. So that's the dangerous actually thing out of their hair. They make noise, but not with their vocal cords, but with their legs. They scratching their legs, and it can be heard to 15 feet away. They are fearsome predators. They can attack up to a mouse. There are a lot of videos on YouTube. I'll send you a link where they are killing a mouse easily. Yes, and here it is. And actually, you can buy in Harrods deep-fried roasted tarantulas. So that was about tarantulas.
Nice, well done. Applause.
Curious about